Hello again, Pseudo Catalyst here, the third installment of messing around with the ESP32. In the last video, we set up the screen, and in this one, we're going to add a module. We're going to add something to put text onto that screen, and that is this little module right here. This is the DHT-11 temperature and humidity module. So it has 3 pins here: ground, power, and data. Alright, so let's set this up. We're going to put it 25 to 27. Fit it snugly in there. Ground, power, data. Let me just double check that on the documentation real quick. Okay, I was correct. Ground, power, data. So let's hook that up. The power and the ground are already taken. So what we're gonna do is I have 3 cables here. Orange and gray. Gray for the ground, orange for the power. We're going to go to the ground here and just share that ground. Just making sure we have the right one. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but I think we have that set up properly. So now we're going to take the orange for power, you can see it's in series with that power cable. It's powered, and I'm going to program this so that GPIO pin 4 is used, so we're going to use D4. Connected to the D4, and we're going to have that connected to the data cable. And just like that, we have our DHT temperature and humidity module connected up to our screen via the ESP32. So let's get into the Arduino IDE, shall we? Alright, so we're in the IDE. It's fairly long. I didn't want to type it out all for you guys. It'd be like, what, an hour long? I type so slow, you've seen me. So I'm just going to run you through some things that if you just copy this code, you might run into some problems in your Arduino IDE, because you're going to have to do some more complicated library inclusion or downloads. So if you go to our libraries here, you can see I've included the DHT in the Adafruit Sensor library. If I type that in, it might come up because I've downloaded it. Yeah, it doesn't. There is no DHT library. What about Adafruit Sensor? Nope. So, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to go to GitHub. I just have 2 of the same open for some reason. This is the DHT documentation page here. Just checking that the pins were correct. And here we have the DHT sensor library and the Adafruit sensor library. In GitHub, what you're going to want to do is go to this green button here, code, and you're going to want to go down here to download the zip. The same thing with the Adafruit sensor library. Code, green button here, download zip. Once you've downloaded those, I've already downloaded those, we're going to come to our IDE here. We're going to go to Sketch, Include Library, Add .zip library. Now I have mine in my downloads here, DHT and Sensor, and you just select that and it'll download the library for you. And that's just another way, other than going through this portal right here, the library manager. That's just another way. If the library manager doesn't have the library you're looking for, you might be able to find it on GitHub on a zip. Just make sure it's from DHT and Adafruit. Just make sure it's official, and it should be all good. So let's describe some of this code that we got going on here. So I've included several libraries, right? These you've seen from the previous. This is for the screen, and this is for the sensor. The DHT libraries and the Adafruit sensors. Here, we're declaring the screen size and the reset and the address and all that. We've covered this in the last video. But here we have a different set of defines now. We're defining which pin the GPIO 4 or D4 pin is where our data is going to go in and out of for our temperature and humidity sensor. And we're also going to define what type of DHT are we using. We're doing the DHT-11 here. So again, this is just screen activity here. This initializes the DHT, DHT.begin. We clear the display of the OLED. Another loop here, clear the display, display the text size, we set the text size and color here, and then we read temperature and read humidity. Then we want to display the temperature and display the humidity on the OLED screen. And where are we doing that? We're doing it 00 and 016. We're displaying the temperature in Celsius and the humidity in percent. We update the display and we wait a few seconds, 2 seconds, before taking another reading. So this reading potentially will change every 2 seconds. I will include this code in the description of this video. Or actually, you know what? I'll make a GitHub and I'll provide the link and I'll have it there. So let's go back to the workshop and we'll see how this code displays on the ESP32. Alright, so we have the ESP32 powered, as well as the screen and the DHT module, and we have it displaying on the screen the temperature and the humidity here. Let's see if that changes. We'll wait a couple seconds. Maybe if I do this, it'll change. There we go, we can see the humidity rising. I got clammy hands, I guess. Alright. And that about does it. Like I said, I will provide the code that I had. Be mindful of your libraries. You may have to manually install those libraries from a zip, but that shouldn't be any problem. It's actually a lot easier than you might think it is. And again, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one.